it's Holly Marie King, and we are back with the Emblem Knights final draft. And we left off last time where Yuri was getting attacked by the monster, and the scene is a little different from the last one. So let's see how if it ends differently. I can't remember. I forget how this one ends. Actually, I remember some of it, but I'm not gonna spoil it. You'll just have to wait. Or if you want to buy the book, you know, I always put it in the description below where you can get it if you want it. It is a book. Anyway, Chapter 20, Fuel for Life. Alex and the others were sitting down for their breakfast when he got a sudden jolt. Alex, you better get your butt here quickly. He could have sworn he heard Yuri's voice just then. He looked around, but she was nowhere to be seen. I am not dying inside some smelly creature's belly. What the heck? Alex asked out loud, looking around again, but still not seeing her anymore. Hey, Joey, do you know where your sister ran off to? Joey shook his head, not concerned. He was very hungry from his long rest after healing the little family. I haven't seen her since yesterday, he said, his cheeks full of food. Alex felt the jolt again and heard Yuri crying out in agony. It forced him to his feet, making him drop his food on the ground. Hey, don't waste it like that, Roy shouted. He obviously couldn't hear what Alex was hearing. Where's Ray? Alex asked Roy. Roy shrugged. I'm not in charge of my brother's whereabouts, he said nonchalantly, enjoying his breakfast. I think the last time I saw him, he was sitting out over with Michelle by the entrance of the town, Daisuke said to him. Okay, Alex said. He heard her scream again and stumbled. He whipped his head around, but still couldn't find her anywhere. Ray? Have you seen Yuri anywhere? He asked his leader. Ray had his eyes closed and was listening to the wind and birds. I sent her and Michelle off to go gather wood about an hour ago, he said, not opening his eyes. Why? What's wrong? Help! Michelle's scream made Alex's arm fill with goosebumps, and he could feel his mouth go dry. Help! She screamed again. Help! Then Maddie was screaming. She was able to move faster than her older sister. Please help us! Ree stood and was to her in moments. The girl's face was tear-stained, and she was out of breath. What's the matter? He asked the girls, holding Maddie up from collapsing. She told us to go back. Michelle was crying too. She told us to go. If we had, maybe the children would still be here. Would be here still. She saved my life and told me to find you. Maddie was gasping for air as she let Ray lower her to the ground. Alex didn't wait to hear more. He was already running off. He could still hear Yuri screaming in pain. Alex, where are you going? Ray called after him. Please, you have to save her, Maddie sniffed. She saved my life. You have to save her. John, Joey, get over here, Ray ordered. The two forgot their meals entirely and rushed over to where Ray was standing. I need you to take these two girls back to camp and get them calmed down, and then join us as soon as you can. Yes, sir, John said, helping Maddie to her feet and motioning for Michelle to follow him. Joey hesitated, worried about his sister for the first time that day. Come on, Joey, we need to follow orders, John said firmly. Joey closed his mouth and followed him back to camp. Roy and Daisuke, I need the two of you to catch up to Alex, Ray said to the two men. Murphy stood beside him. They had all come over with Joey and John, but waited patiently for their orders. Looks like the senior advisor has sent his pets out to play again, Roy said, cracking his knuckles. Yeah, and Yuri is fighting it alone, and Alex is ignorantly throwing caution to the wind, running off after it, Ray said irritably. We need to be smart about this. You all know how terrifying and strong those monsters are. We'll see you there, Daisuke said, hefting his arrows over his shoulder and readying his bow. He didn't want to rush in unprepared. I don't like this, Murphy said sullenly. The last time we faced off with one of these things, it nearly killed all of us. Plus the group that had come to help take it down. That's why we need to be quick and hopefully save Yuri in the process, Ray said, moving to head out. Murphy was right behind him, but both men were feeling very uncomfortable with the idea of fighting the creature. It is a lot different. Holy cow. Yuri was starting to lose the battle. She was fighting with the creature that was trying to eat her. She knew she was losing because her kicks were growing weaker and her arms were growing heavier. Even her waist was starting to become numb from the constant pain. She just hoped she had given the guys enough time to organize and get an advantage on the creature. Sorry, guys. Guess I'll die here. She joked to herself, bitterly, still fighting to stay alive. She could see the shreds of children's clothing stuck up in its teeth, and she could smell its rancid breath. Electricity ran across the creature's face, making it scream in pain as it shook Yuri through the air. You aren't allowed to give up that easily, Alex shouted as he ran towards her and the creature. Alex, Yuri felt so relieved, but she remembered her battle wasn't over yet. She was still stuck in the clutches of the creature. The creature was now angry. It threw out more of its tentacles and took hold of all of her limbs, pulling her apart. Ah! She screamed in agony as her limbs stretched to their limits. Hurry! She screamed to Alex, not able to say any more as the pain intensified to the point where she couldn't think anymore. Let her go! Alex screamed, shooting his power at the creature at its maximum power. Interesting. He was using his abilities much too fast with far too much power behind it, but he was desperate to save her. Arrows whizzed through the air as each one hit a tentacle holding onto Yuri. The creature screamed in pain once more, throwing Yuri into Alex, knocking the two of them back. Alex slid on the ground, but he held tightly to Yuri, hoping she wouldn't be hurt any more than she already had been. Take that! Roy shouted, throwing fireballs at the monster, one right after the other. Let's see how you like it being stretched, Murphy asked, as defiance sprouted from the ground, grabbing the creature's tentacles and pulling. Soon the creature was enraged. Its Ray ran up to it, axe in hand. He swiftly hit it directly in the head and was hit back against a tree and moved no more. Yuri, can you hear me? Alex was asking, brushing her hair out of her face, desperately trying to get her to talk to him. One of the tentacles hit the ground, throwing rocks everywhere, one hitting Alex squarely in the head, knocking him out. The creature then pulled its legs, yanking Murphy off his feet as it flung him through the air as it threw him into Daisuke, knocking the two of them unconscious. Not before Daisuke let off one more arrow, hitting the creature in the eye. It screamed as it writhed in pain, trying to find the last man, attacking it with its flailing tentacles. Roy expertly avoided the creature as he dodged and rolled. But he couldn't attack back. He could only evade. He was just holding out until John and Joey arrived. He knew that if he stopped moving, the creature would move in to kill all of his friends, and he couldn't allow that. He was finally caught by the ankle and was lowered towards the creature's mouth. He waited until the last possible second before he unleashed the last of his energy. Joey, I need you to follow my lead, John shouted as they approached. Roy knew exactly what John was about to say and put his hand out in front of the creature's face. He unleashed the last of his power into its face, making it wail even more in pain as it flung him away. He hit a tree, knocking the wind out of him and knocking him out all at the same time. He then fell to the floor, hurting him further. Joey hesitated. He was scared from all the people he knew were unconscious. What's going on? He asked timidly, shaking as he brought his flute up to his lips. Joey, John said. He was the most calm he had ever been in front of Joey. I know that you're scared, but at this moment in time, the only people that can stop this thing is the two of us. So, for your sister's sake, please, let's play and beat this thing. Okay. Joey was still scared, but he listened to what John was playing. Now, make sure you focus on the creature and not on anyone else or anything else, John said to Joey before he continued on. This is going to take a lot out of us because this is a very powerful spell and you don't want it hitting anything or anyone else. Okay, Joey said, putting his flute to his lips as he followed John's lead. The song was melancholy and slow. It made Joey feel cold all the way to his core, but John kept the song going. The man wavered on his feet as the song continued, but he didn't fall. Joey dropped once his heart began to hurt and felt like ice. John completed the song, killing the creature. The man fell to his knees, needing a moment to catch his breath and for his insides to warm up. He and Joey had just played the Song of Death, something of which had been just as deadly for the player as the creature that they were aiming the song at. It was a last resort. It's supposed to say resort, for all the people that could perform the song itself. John knew it was the only way to kill the creature, but he worried he had just killed the boy. So, after a little while, he went over to the boy and felt his pulse. He breathed a sigh of relief when he felt a small beat coming from his pulse. John then stood and looked around him to see the damage that had been done. There was a lot of work to do before he could rest. It was already late afternoon. He scooped Joey up first so he could go warm the child up and get him healed up first. Everyone was in bad shape, so he needed a second healer to help him patch them up. Michelle and Maddie were both asleep by the fire. They had obviously cried themselves to sleep. John was already feeling the first hike back, and he still had to do it 6 more times. He found a bed for Joey and lay down in and covered him up in hopes the boy recovered quickly. He then prepped 6 more beds so that he didn't have to do it later. John then went for the people he couldn't heal for himself. He grabbed Ray first, putting him on his back, and carried him all the way back to the camp. The man wasn't seriously wounded, but he was still out cold. At least it was one less person he had to carry. Yuri was next. She was in really bad shape, and it worried John. She had broken ribs, and her shoulders had been popped out of their sockets. Some small bones in her legs had been crushed and her stomach was openly bleeding from multiple little suction marks. He carried her as softly through the woods as he could. As soon as he had her laying down, he went about setting her broken bones as best as he could. The final goal was to get the most critically wounded back, first so the healing process could go faster. Roy was the first. He had a broken back and a collapsed lung. It was a miracle that he was still breathing. John played a couple notes on his flute so that his life was no longer in danger, and then carried Roy back to the village. Then there was Daisuke. He had been hit against a rock pretty hard by Murphy's body. Murphy himself had been injured too, but luckily it was nothing serious. Alex might have had a concussion, but otherwise he too was in decent shape. John was exhausted after bringing everyone back and forth from the battle site, but he still had to gather food and make sure that he and the girls had food for dinner. It was dark by the time he completed everything, and had earned himself a nice rest for a couple hours. He still had a lot of work to do before he could actually rest. And that's the end of chapter 20. See, it's so much better. It is so much better than the rough draft. Oh my god, I know, I'm biased. But, I felt the energy. Ooh, I'm so happy. Sorry. That was me giving myself a pat on the back. I don't care if you guys didn't like it, because you know what? I loved it, and it's mine, so. But hey, if you loved it, leave a like. But hey, thanks for loving it. If you know someone who'd like this, please share it. If you want more of this content, I upload it every Monday, so subscribe. Yeah. But like I said at the beginning of the video, if you're interested in this book, especially after that chapter, oh my god, oh, it was so good. It's going to be in the description below, as well as a way to get to my Wattpad, where I also upload this. It's a little bit slower process, but it's there, so then it's free. But yeah, anyway, hopefully I will see you guys next time. Bye!